It's Wednesday, it's April 9th. We are going to Idaho today for a ton of hearings in the prosecution of Bryan Kohberger. Remember, he is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus home. This hearing today is all of their motions in limine. The motions in limine from the state and the defense are numerous. So I am interested to see the order the court goes in. But from the state, we have motions in limine regarding neuropsychological and psychiatric evidence, alternative perpetrator evidence, alibi, demonstrative exhibits using 3D models, the IgG data or investigative genetic genealogy, improper death penalty comments, immediate family members in the courtroom, who counts as an immediate family member, how many can there be, AT&T timing advance records, text messages, and testimony of the surviving roommates, self-authentication of records, and the 911 call. On the defense side, we have motions regarding things like inflammatory evidence. This is like a pro forma motion being like, you can't appeal to a motion, can't just shock the jury into how horrible the case is so they'll hold anyone guilty. The court's going to be like, yeah, you can't do that. Vague and undisclosed expert testimony, use of the term murder, use of the terms sociopath or psychopath, inconclusive data. There is stuff regarding touch DNA, witness identification by bushy eyebrows we talked about yesterday, unnoticed 404B evidence, which is character. You can't do that. It has to be noticed. Amazon click evidence, improper expert opinion, excluding IgG evidence, conditions that are aggravators because we are looking at a death penalty case when those come in, and then some motions regarding statistical analysis. So there is a lot on the docket today.
But then the second warrant,
You would agree there's no evidence that AT&T provided those or that those were still available by the time that Mr. Kohberger was identified?
Your Honor,
An officer of the court.
as an officer of the court, I would like to ask Nick Balance that, and here's why. Here's why. The things that I've learned is that the 7 days is on paper. Sometimes they go back further than other days.
What's the evidence of that, counsel?
The evidence has been in the practice that I've learned from people that I've worked with.
You're giving me that testimony now?
I'm not giving you testimony. I'm answering the court's question.
Okay. But you've made some serious accusations against the state of hiding evidence, and yet you've provided no factual basis, zero, that that evidence existed for them to be able to obtain it in December.
Your Honor, in April of, or I'm sorry, it was probably by the July date that I got it, of 2024, I got records from 2022. In some other time in 2024, I think it was May, I got 3,800 people's timing advance
Because
records.
they were asked within 7 days of the date that they sought it. It was the tower dump from the night of the murder asked within the 7 days.
I understand that.
Okay. So where is the evidence that Mr. Kohberger's timing advance records from AT&T were available to anybody in December without a prior request that they save those?
Well, I don't know if they made a prior request that they save those.
Well, they wouldn't because they didn't know who he was.
You're correct. They didn't know who he was until, I think, about December 19th.
Correct.
Their warrant for his full scope of records, the second AT&T warrant, asked for all of the records. I haven't seen any of them. That's, even if they were just the 7 days back, I haven't seen any of
What
them.
you're talking about now is a discovery issue of those 7 days that don't sound like they're particularly relevant to the murder. That's a discovery issue you can take up with the court through a motion to compel, which you have not filed. It's not an evidentiary issue in which you can lay down Mr. Ray's conspiracy theory without any evidence at trial.
Your Honor, we have litigated this issue quite extensively throughout the course of the case. The timing advance records, once I understood how timing advance works, became very important. We've heard different things now than I've heard at different times in the past.
I'll let you ask that question outside the presence of the jury.
Thank you.
At the time of trial.
That will satisfy me. Thank you.
I'm not upset, but I just for Mr. Ray's information, because he wasn't here the first day I started this trial with you folks. I said, I don't want theatrics. I don't want accusations that aren't supported with evidence about supposed bad conduct of the parties. You're all professionals. I respect you all. And the accusations he made in there are very concerning. The kinds of accusations, if true, that would get people disbarred. And so without any evidence and apparently sidestepping the clear explanation, he makes those. And so that doesn't make me happy.
And to address the court's concerns of what's been raised, I think the only issue out there, I have the 2 search warrants. The state asked for the AT&T timing advance records in our search warrants. The state wanted that information from Mr. Kohberger. We did not receive it. I did not receive those records from AT&T. I do not have them.
The court went through 25 motions in limine and 2 defense motions regarding the death penalty. The court ruled on some of the quicker motions and easier motions and took under advisement for written orders some of the more challenging motions. I think the spiciest part of today was when the court got very pointedly after the defense regarding the issue about the AT&T records for Bryan Kohberger. Remember, yesterday on stream, I went over the motion and the defense expert's affidavit. The defense expert affidavit threw out some very big and serious allegations, and the court pressed defense attorney Ann Taylor on the basis of those allegations and said at one point, as an officer of the court, and the law nerds astutely noted that that is like your parent calling you by your entire given name, like the whole legal name, all of it. You're like, shit, I am in trouble. As an officer of the court, it's like, damn it. So the court was incredibly displeased with the defense expert leveraging those allegations without acknowledging that with regard to those AT&T records, the issue is that they were only preserved for 7 days. If you did not request them or request that they be preserved within that 7-day window, then they no longer exist. And the solution at the end of all of the spiciness was the court asking the defense attorney if she wanted to ask the FBI investigator if he had received those records outside the presence of the jury. And the defense said, yes, I would like to be able to ask that question outside the presence of the jury. The state said, we never received these specific records, and Bryan Kohberger was not identified as a suspect early enough in the process for us to preserve those records. And the court was feisty about it. He was not happy with the level of hyperbole and accusations and made it known again that that will not be tolerated in his court. And so the end of the very big issue with the AT&T records is that request them in 7 days or they no longer exist up until 2023. Period. There will be lots of rulings coming out on this. I will cover them as best I can while we are covering the Karen Reed trial, which looks like it will probably start early next week. Once we start trial, when the orders come out, we will go through the orders the best we can. If I do not get through it in stream and those orders come out, I'll put them on the Emily Show podcast that drops on Monday. So if you have the Law Nerd app, you'll get notified of when the podcast drops on Monday. So we will see what the rulings are. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the LawNerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.